Welcome everybody to our last live of the day. So we've been doing them all day. The speakers have been amazing. And this time we are talking to Lea. So welcome. And we're starting off with the same three questions because everybody wants to know, where do you live, number one, in the world? Because we have people from all over the world. So where do you live in the world?
Absolutely. I currently live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, here in the United States. Desperately trying to get back to Montana, but it's not going so well right now. So keep that in your thoughts and prayers if you can.
Both beautiful spots. We have people from Germany, California, Iowa. Can't get them all, but people from all over the world. We had somebody who was up late in Ireland and Germany. It's late-ish. Yes, 6 hours. 11 o'clock at night. Yeah. 11 o'clock at night in Germany. I'm like doing my math and my...
It's nighttime for sure.
Some Aussies, so there you go, from all over the world. So the first question we're asking all our speakers is, what got you into scrapbooking, card making, paper crafting?
Yeah, so actually, when I graduated from high school, one of my aunts gave me a scrapbooking kit, and that was a long time ago. That was in 1998. So a scrapbooking kit consisted of like decorative scissors, construction paper, maybe a couple of punches, and maybe a marker or something. But I used it. I scrapbooked all of my photos from my senior year and my summer after my senior year. I was a cheerleader going into college. So I scrapbooked all of that fun stuff, and I have kind of done it ever since. I started out scrapbooking. I don't actually scrapbook any longer. I have moved over to the card making world. So
there you go. And that answers our next question, which was scrapbooking, card making, or both?
Now just card making. I have done both, and I started in scrapbooking, but now I am pretty much just a card maker.
Okay. And one question, because I heard this from other card makers and I never really thought of this. How many cards do you make a year?
Oh, I have no idea. Too many. I have boxes and boxes of cards downstairs that need a home, probably. I definitely cannot send as many as I make.
It must be hard to card making to part with your cards if you know they're going to someone who, like, if you know they're going to someone who's going to cherish them, but it must be hard sometimes to part with your creations.
Okay. I've got a card making question.
Sure.
Are you, and especially for you, just because, I know kind of the cards that you make, but do you prefer the stamping or the die cutting? Like, who are you more, the stamper or the cutter, as I say?
Foiling and ink blending.
Okay. Okay.
Neither. So I actually really love all of it, truly. I'm the marketing director for Pink Fresh Studio, for anybody that doesn't know me. And we are a paper crafting company that does it all. So we have scrapbooking products and card making products both. About 2 or 3 years ago, we started delving into the hot foil world. We started coordinating layering stencils for pretty much everything. And those are probably my two favorite things, which I showcased in my class, is hot foiling and then ink blending with the stencils.
Okay, very cool. We have people from Michigan. We have a user from Bedford, England. My mother was born in Bedford, England. There's a little trivia for our user from Bedford, England. That's where my mom was born. She only lived there for 6 months of her life, but that's where she was born. So very cool when you see that, because not many, Bedford, England's a very tiny town. So Lynn, because I can see your name on Facebook, my mom was born there. It's a very tiny town. First question was, how did you get your job with Pink Fresh Studios?
So I was just on a design team for another stamp company way back in the day. And she was really good friends with the owner, Kinnery. And I had actually just come back to crafting after taking a hiatus after some personal things happening in my life. And I was working full time out of the home, but I knew that I didn't really want to do that forever. I had been used to being my own boss for a long time and making my own hours and such. So I knew that working out of the home was not my forever want, but it was what we needed to do to kind of get back on our feet here in the city. And so I had a mutual friend that knew the owner of Pink Fresh Studio, and she was just looking for some help. I have a photography degree. I have a marketing degree. And so Kinry was just looking for some help. And so I was part-time for a couple of months, and it tumbled into full-time, and then it tumbled into the role that I am now, which is the marketing director of the entire company.
Very cool. Gotta love how people get jobs that are just the perfect job for you. Can you share a bit about your project? We have some questions coming on that too, but can you share a bit about what you shared, the project that you did, which was your foil card?
Yeah. So we did some foiling in class. So we did standard foiling and solid foiling with the solid hot foil plate that we came out with close to 3 years ago. I think we're about at the 3-year mark now. So when we got into hot foiling, one thing that we didn't love about it was all of the leftover foil that you just tossed in the garbage. And we knew we wanted to find a way to use that foil. So we tested, I don't even want to tell you how many prototypes of solid hot foil plates until we got it just right. So that worked really well. So in my class, we did standard foiling that we ink blended on top of with the coordinating layering stencils. And then we also did solid foiling, and we kind of color blocked those together. So the solid foiling can be, it's really bold and it can be a lot. So what I showed in class is probably my favorite way to use solid foiling, and that is just kind of having a peek of it, or a little bit of it here and there, peeking out from underneath project. So mine was kind of color blocked with the background, but another way that you could do that if it was like a floral is the solid foiling. You could peek out from underneath the standard foiling so that just a little bit of it shows. You can also go full bore and show all of the solid foiling if you want to. I have a little bit softer of a style. So for me, that's a little much.
That's okay. We have not a question, but a comment. Not a question. A takeaway from Leah's class: heating the solid plate twice is genius. I have the same one and never liked it, and I love it now.
Oh, good to hear, Betsy. Yeah, that is really important. So standard foil plates don't really need that double heating because you're not having to get as large of a surface heated up. So they heat up quicker, technically. The solid hot foil plate is a huge chunk of metal. And so it just needs a little bit of extra time to get that heat dispersed through the whole thing to really make it work well.
That makes sense. I have a question. What's your favorite hot foiling technique?
Well, I will say I really love just standard hot foiling, but I love ink blending on top of it with stencils. So we were super excited when we found out you could do that. We put stencils with everything, and we were like, I wonder if we'll like it rub off the foiling. So we were really excited when we tested that out and found that it doesn't. Ink blending does not affect your foiling at all. So I think foiling with ink blending is probably my favorite foiling technique.
What type of ink? Sorry, if you don't mind.
What type of inks?
What type of ink is better for that part, though?
Oh, I've only ever
fresh.
used dry inks, but I think anything would work. The only thing you might run into with something more pigment based or like an oxide is it may have a more of a tendency to stay on the foiling. So that may not wipe away as easy as like a dye based, water based ink would.
Okay. Just curious. Okay.
Yeah.
Try that.
You guys, I see some questions in there.
Yep, we're getting there.
About my project. Thank you.
Your project is beautiful. We have I'm actually one of Leah's fans. I watch most of her videos and lives. It's so fun to see her take part in this summit. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I recognize Mom Full of Joy. Her name is escaping my brain at the second, but
It's a good name.
Mom Full of Joy. I was very grateful when Lea said yes as well. I am. So yes.
Yes, no, we're grateful for all of our speakers. It's great. Can you take the solid foiling and cut it like the one you did?
I guess I don't completely understand what they're asking. Oh, like, I wonder if she means like cutting it in half like I did my top layer, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. You can cut solid foiling. You can die cut solid foils. If you solid foil something and it has a coordinating die, you can cut into that. I did mention in class, and I'll mention it here as well. When you're cutting, if you're using a die and taping it down, any tape, it does not matter how low tack your tape is, it pulls foil right up. So you want to make sure that you're taping in places where you don't care if the like maybe the foil is going to get cut away, so you don't want to overlap the tape with the die. But you can absolutely say, like with my card, if you wanted to do the opposite of what I did and trim your solid piece off and pop the other one underneath it, yeah, you can do anything with solid foiled pieces. You can cut them, you can die cut them. Sky's the limit.
She said yes. So
Jenna is her name. Thank
you.
you.
Her name. And Darlene said yes, that's what we want to do. So there you go. Do you have a trick to share to remove a small amount of unwanted foil transferred on a car accidentally?
Yes.
These
are going to be your best friend. This is a sand eraser. It's by Tombow, and I think there's another type of eraser on one end, but on the other end is a sand eraser. And if you get in there, and it's got a nice thin edge to it, and just gently work away at it, these are really good at getting any little bit of overfoiling that might have happened on your projects.
Who's it by again?
I think it's by Tombow.
Yeah, Tombow.
Yeah.
Sorry, Heather, you heard me mention Tombow's name when I was talking about the white glue, but
yes,
it's the same company.
So same company, yep.
Same company, same thing. So great, excellent. Any other questions about foiling? How long? I'm going to ask a question. How long has foiling been a technique that people have been using? Like, is it new technique? Has it been around for a while? Or?
Well, it's been around for a while. Spellbinders came out with their Glimmer hot foil system. I'm not going to say they were the first ones. They're just the ones that I know and the company and the one that I use. And I started foiling right from the get-go. And that was probably, I'm trying to think back, maybe 5-ish years ago when they first came out with it. There just wasn't a lot of product on the market. And then Pink Fresh, we decided that we wanted to get into the foiling world. And I think that's kind of when it exploded. So.
Excellent. Lea, your card was beautiful. I don't have the machine you used in your presentation, but I'll try your card with the foil quill and my silhouette.
Oh, cool. I don't actually know what those are, but I hope that it works out.
Do you know what they are, Tracy?
Sorry there, I was on mute. I'm going to Google. It's the foil quill that's throwing me off. The silhouette we know, of course. So
I do know. I guess I do. Maybe the foil quill is what was. I don't know. I have heard of a silhouette.
I'm also wondering. Okay. Yeah, it's a We Are Memories Keeper. A foil. Sorry, I have not even.
So do you
ever been asked for that one? She's stumping us here.
Yeah, so if you want to give
video,
it more,
but it's a freestyle.
Oh, it's a pen. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
It's a pen. Foil quills are
answered for us.
Yeah, it's a pen. Interesting. Sorry there.
Oh,
that's good. What are your other favorite paper crafts?
So I'm a little more, I dabble probably a little bit more in the card making side. I love the Greetery. Betsy Veldman is the owner of the Greetery, and I think that she just really creates and designs stunning products. They're a little bit, probably, I would say some of it, not all of it, some of it a little bit more advanced or labor intensive when it comes to the different layers and lining them up and such, but stunning, really, really, really gorgeous products. I also really love Spellbinders. I use their products quite frequently, and I do like to die cut with Spellbinders dies. I do find die cutting fun. I think I just like foiling maybe a little bit more. And then probably most of my room is Pink Fresh. I'm just trying to think of what else I have down here. And then, I kind of have little bits and pieces from lots of other companies, but probably the largest stashes I have apart from Pink Fresh would be the Greetery and Spellbinders.
There you go. Here's an answer to one of our earlier questions: is how long has it been she used toner foil in the late 80s or early 90s? So there you go.
Oh, can I tell you guys something really cool actually about toner foil? Because that's big still. Like, you can get the toner foils from Deco Art, I think is the name of that company. Deco something.
Yeah,
Deco
Tracy's nodding her head. You might still be on
mute. Sounds right. Sorry, I was on mute still, but I think it sounds right.
Yeah, okay. So you can still get those toner foils. And then you can also, a lot of companies are coming out with the toner cards that you can transfer to. one of the coolest things about the solid hot foil plate, if you don't have a laminator, but you do have a hot foil system like the one I used in my class, you can actually use the solid hot foil plate and the hot foil system with those toner cards. You just have to make sure that you use the toner based foil, not the hot foil that's meant for these machines. And you can actually still transfer them onto the toner cards with your standard hot foil system. You don't have to have a laminator.
Tricks. See, that's what we're learning. Lots of tricks that you guys share. Because that's the cool part about bringing people together is you didn't even think of that till somebody asked the question, right? So just having that and doing that is cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is this one? This is so interesting. I didn't know that spellbinder foil machines have been around that long.
Yeah,
We've all been around longer than we
I
think.
think we're going on about 5 years now. I think is when it came out ish. Don't quote me on that, but I'm thinking back to I had a machine before Pink Fresh decided to come out with hot foil plates, and I'm pretty sure I had the machine for at least a year and a half. So
here's a good question because I could ask this one too. I'd never heard of hot foiling before today. What exactly is it? I watched your video while I was working today, so I didn't really understand what you were doing. So there you go.
So what hot foiling is you'll notice I used a specific machine. And what that machine is doing is it's taking a hot foil plate. And so hot foil plates are manufactured specifically for this technique. Now they can also be used for dry embossing. But it's taking this metal design that is specifically designed for hot foiling, and it's heating it up. And that's when you see I press all of the buttons. And if you check the video out again, basically those buttons are heating things up, they're timing it and getting that product hot. So then in essence, what this is doing is it's almost like letterpress. It's not exactly letterpress. Those are much bigger, fancier machines, but it's a smaller, different version of letterpress. And basically what you're using is heat to press foil onto paper, a foil design onto paper. So they require a specific type of foil that's heat activated. So not toner activated, but heat activated. And you're just using a die cut machine to run it through to get that pressure to press that foil into your paper. And yes, there actually are Spellbinders is coming out with a different machine called the Better Press, which is meant to more mimic letterpress with like ink and such.
It seems you can use this Better Press, letterpress. That's a lot of words in one, isn't it?
It is a lot.
Better Press to plan for your glitter foil machine. That's a mouthful.
Yeah. So I do actually, funny enough, right there is actually a Better Press. I just haven't had a chance to get into it and really learn it yet. But I will. And so I'm excited to see what it is. So, but I can't speak to the Better Press very much yet because I don't know much about it, but it's just, I don't think it requires heat. I don't think, maybe don't quote me on that, but it's just it's another form. It's a little bit closer to actual letterpress than what hot foiling is.
Cool. Foiling makes any project look so elegant. There you go.
It does. And sparkly. And who doesn't love sparkle? Sparkle without glitter.
I like to emboss with the Spellbinder die cuts after it's cut and left in the dryer. Add some distressing ink to the raised area and it gives the whole new look. Do you do that?
I don't. I can't say that I do. Sounds like a fun technique though.
There you go. Ideas. Everybody gets different ideas on things. Have you ever used your die to hot foil with a heat-proof acetate sheet?
I can't say I've used those together, but I have absolutely hot foiled the die. They look totally different because dies are very thin. So the lines are extremely thin. And typically when you hot foil with them, that makes it so they're not compatible with that die unless it also happens to have a shadow layer. But it is a really fun, it's a whole other way. It's a whole other way to use products you might have on hand. So you absolutely can foil with dies. The lines are very thin, but it's pretty cool. And then keep in mind though, that you typically can't use that die to die cut it because you'll just cut all the lines away. So, and then I have foiled on heat resistant acetate as well, but not with a die. I think I've just foiled on heat resistant acetate with a normal hot foil plate.
Okay. Believe it or not, I'm not a card maker. I'm more the scrapbooker. Okay. But I was interested in these machines, like you say, like 5, 6 years ago, and I bought, I think it was a Crafter's Companion one.
Yep.
And so, anyways, like you're saying, I tried it. I wanted to have the answers for my clients, so I tried a regular die, as I say, and I kept putting it through, going, "It's not cutting. It's not cutting." Okay. And it took
Oh,
me how long to click in going, no, it's not supposed to cut, right?
yep.
Because it had, so I was just laughing when you said that. I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's all.
So the answer is you
Yeah.
can't use regular dies. Is that
Well, you can use the regular die, but it's to foil,
Yeah.
not to cut. It won't cut
Yeah.
because
No.
then otherwise it's
So
going to
if
cut
you're
it
going
out
to foil
anyway.
with the die, you can't
It's,
cut with it unless the die happens to have like a shadow layer.
yes.
If it has a shadow layer, then you can cut out that cool foiling, and that's awesome. But not every die has that option. So
Yeah.
this one says the acetate on top of the die makes the lines thicker.
well, look at that. Betsy,
More
you're
like a foil
teaching me
plate.
something new because I did not know that.
That's what's cool. No matter how expert we are at things, we can always learn something new.
Exactly.
So that's great. And that's what bringing a community together is all about, is getting to know all the different things that you can do, which is
Absolutely.
awesome. Any other questions coming in? We'll give them. There's always a delay in this wonderful, wonderful system.
Again, if nobody else is
Go for
asking
it.
a question, it's not, I don't even know if it's a question, but again, from a non-card maker, and I took one of your classes with one of the larger distributors there.
Oh, yep.
And I'm not a big stamper,
Mhm.
but when we used you taught us how to use the stencils, the coordinating
Yeah.
stencils. I have taught people how to do that. Okay.
Right?
So maybe tell others about them a bit, because we can do this is all I'm going to say. They
Absolutely.
work
So
nicely.
one of the things I love about Pink Fresh, and I think that in a lot of ways we kind of started a trend within the industry too, is so for a very, very long time, stamping, you had to color everything in yourself. I am not a colorer. I don't like markers. I'm not like the biggest fan of watercolor. I would prefer my preference would be watercolor of the different ways to color, but none of it is really my forte, if I'm being completely honest. Sorry, I got a little something in my eye. So I didn't like love stamping in the first part. I also was not a very good stamper, and so when those stamping platforms came out, that was just like a lifesaver. But so one of the biggest things at Pink Fresh Studio is we want all crafters to feel like artists. And so when we started coming out with layering stencils to help people color in their images, we heard that a lot from people was, oh, you make me feel like I can color, and you make me feel like I can actually create something, in a time frame, because that other part of that is coloring can be really time consuming. Whereas stenciling, it goes a little bit quicker. You line up the stencil, you blend some color in there and rip it off, and move on to the next stencil, and you're done. So I think that Pink Fresh Studio has been able to bring products that make crafting maybe easier or quicker. So, for people that don't have a ton of time, they can actually accomplish something in a smaller period of time. And I think the most important thing is we've brought products that really make crafting fun and make you feel like an artist, no matter what level of artist or artistry you feel like you are.
I love that. That's such a neat thing, because artistry is creativity, and feeling empowered like that is so cool. So
yeah.
A question you said you like create products. I'm not sure the spelling.
The greetery. So like greeting, like hello, GREET, greetery. So hopefully that comes through. I'm in the middle of Invisalign treatment, so sometimes my words don't come through perfect.
That's okay. And then Pink Studios has amazing floral images, and Pink Fresh Studio, sorry. And you can color in your stamping images easy with stencils. I love their products. There you go.
The other great thing about it is if you are a colorer and you love to color, pretty much all of our images are outlined. So you absolutely can still come in and do all of your own coloring as well. So we give you the stencil option, but you don't have to use them. You can absolutely use your markers, your watercolor, and your colored pencils. So it's real versatile. There's lots of ways to use the product. So
that's kind. I'm a color pencil artist. So
there you go.
that's where I do my stuff. So getting the depth and the tooth and the stuff that's really key to doing color pencil stuff.
You want to know something really cool, actually, that I've seen our team do? I don't, because I'm, like I said, I'm not a colorer. But they'll take like the initial stencils and get the initial colors in there, and then they'll come in with colored pencils and add more detail to the images. So I do think that is really lovely as well.
And that's the joy of colored pencil, is you can layer if there's enough tooth on the paper, which is basically enough of what's the right word to call tooth, the thickness of the paper to let it.
So like the pound or
it's the pound, but it's also the tooth is just kind of like, if we were looking at it in a microscope, it's like little hairs, so that you can layer.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yes, you can layer the colors. So the stronger tooth on paper will let you, if your paper's flat, like regular paper, it's very hard to layer colors.
Okay. So you'd probably not like the paper I use, because foiling, you need to have like the smoothest paper possible to get the best foiling techniques. So, I mean, I like rub my cardstock because it's so soft, because it's so smooth on the top.
It means you can use it. You just don't get the same effect with colored pencils, and because you're layering wax, actually, is what you're doing, right? With colored pencils, depending on the brand that you use, is either wax or oil based.
Well,
so you would do better with oil based, which is I'm trying to think of the name of the oil based ones. Primacolors are wax based, and then Faber-Castell are oil based.
Okay.
And so even in card making, if you're going to use colored pencils, recognize that you can do different things with the oil-based and the wax-based.
Well, look at you.
So there you go. I knew something. There you go.
There you go.
Okay, is it time for me to get technical now? Are we changing jobs, Heather?
There you go. There's my polychrome, right? Polychrome.
Excellent.
There you go. My art teacher would be very happy for me on knowing my difference. There's another brand too, but the wax-based ones are more color intensive. The oil-based ones don't necessarily, but they have the best skin tones. So it's one of those, and they have the best flower colors. The Primacolors aren't as good on colors. So yeah, that's kind of a neat way.
We're definitely more of a florally company. We don't really have people on our products. So
but like hot foiling with Faber-Castell would be, with the oil base, would probably work well. Like, so it's interesting. They all have different ones, but it's hard to get dimension on flat paper. It doesn't mean you can't color on them, but if you're seeing color pencil techniques somewhere and you're thinking, on my flat paper, it's just not giving me the same dimension, that's why.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to hold the layers on it. So
gotcha.
We have Pink Fresh. Do they have inks?
We sure do. We have 48 shades of ink. So the way that our inks work is we have color families, and inside of those color families are 4 shades, ranging from a very pastel to a dark tone, and they all layer together beautifully. We actually came out with all of our inks before we even ever started carrying layering stencils, but we knew that we wanted to make sure that we would have perfect colors that would layer on top of each other, and with a lovely gradation. So we currently have 48 shades of ink and 12 color families, but we are adding to our rainbow. We haven't released ink since 2019. That's when we came out with our first 48. We are adding 24 more, so we will have 72 shades of ink, and we are adding 6 new color families. So we are kind of filling in some of our rainbow that we didn't have captured yet. So that is hopefully going to be in July, but as you guys all know, with how shipping and production works these days, that could always have to be postponed. But we've been working on these colors for over a year now. So
exciting.
Here's hoping.
It's always exciting to come out with new things. So there you go. Someone shared
my clients will be excited. Sorry there.
That's okay. Somebody was recommending oil-based paint pencils. So there you go. And there is a big difference in buying artist quality pencils versus the ones your kids take to school. So just like many products, coloring pencils, there is definitely a different grade when you go up to the artist quality pencils. They cost a fortune, but they last longer, and they're the ones that you would use for that kind of thing.
It's kind of like watercolor brushes.
Yeah, same idea. Same as all of them.
I'm going to answer Cindy's question here. Our inks come in full-size pads and ink cubes both, and then we also have refills. of course. Now, for ours, do they have any different properties to them? So we choose to use a premium dye ink. So they to us, we think that those are the best ones for ink blending. So no special properties. They're not like pigment based or anything like that. Just really beautiful colors that smooth out and give just like this really creamy, lovely finish once that dye basically is done dyeing the paper underneath it. So
Cool. I'm not sure what a distressed ink means. Do you know what that means?
I do. Distress inks are they're a dye based ink as well. They're just a little more water reactive.
Okay. So it's kind of like watercolors versus that.
Yeah.
Do they react to water? There you go.
And ours do react a little bit to water, but not as much as like a distress ink does.
Okay. Excellent.
Yep.
It's amazing all the different products that exist in this
Right.
space.
I think pigment
overwhelming.
inks are not water reactive at all. So
it must be overwhelming when you're just entering it in to, that's what's fun about bringing all this together is people who signed up for this can learn different techniques from different people, and that's really cool.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had years of building all of this, so I can't imagine somebody that's new to card making or paper crafting in general just jumping in and seeing everything there is. And so this was gradual. There wasn't as much stuff when I started. Mm-hmm. So I got to kind of grow with it. So I can imagine how intimidating it might be if you're just jumping in head first now with all of the stuff that's out there.
Yes. And I'm sure it exploded in the last couple of years as people wanted more stuff. So yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Any other questions for Lee? Anything you want to know about what she's doing, about the company products she represents? Let us know. There's always a 10-second delay. I was going to say 10 minutes, a 10-second delay. How often do you purge?
All the time. So
she said that with determination.
I only have so much room. And so as Pink Fresh Studio retires things, I take them out, I kick them out, I give them away. Same with other companies. As stuff retires or they get rid of it, I kick it out and purge it because I only have so much room. And I only have so much time in a day. And most of my day is spent creating stuff for Pink Fresh Studio. So, yeah. And for Pink Fresh Studio, I'm only supposed to create with stuff that's currently available. So once it's retired, it goes out the door.
Very good. You got good for you from Sydney as well. Good for you for actually purging, because purging's hard for crafters.
Yeah. When you have a very small house, you learn.
Space. Yes. Space can be, unless you have a basement, I don't know. Basements can be really like places for things to go and not come out again.
Yeah, I do have a basement. We do keep it pretty well organized. And when my husband works out down there, so I try not to take over too much. I have a shelf that there's some things on it that I don't need up here in my room, but for the most part, I try to keep things pretty uncluttered. And
your office is very organized. You do look very organized. So
thank you.
Well, Pink Fresh eventually provide letter press plates that would work on better press machines. That's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. We're talking about it and we're thinking about it. We haven't fully made that decision yet. So, we have chatted with Spellbinders about it a little bit, and so I will say maybe. Maybe is probably all I can give right this second.
Maybe is a good answer.
Yeah.
My crafter is my basement, and it really fills up. Yes, basement.
I did used to craft in the basement, and then I decided I wanted natural light. So I moved myself back upstairs and I took over. Well, first I took over the back of the dining room, and then that started looking too cluttery. So then I took over the room in here.
It's nice to have a space, especially when it's your business, right? It's not just your hobby, it's also your business.
Right. So. It's my office and everything. So
yes, it's nice to have. Excellent. Any other questions? We are open to them. Like I was going to say, Leah's an hour. You're Central Time, aren't you? Central,
yeah.
How do you take pictures of your projects?
I am a professional photographer, so I am lucky enough to have education in it, and I have a fancy camera. But I I'm a natural light photographer, so I don't use any type of artificial light, but I buy homes based on windows, and this whole home is covered in windows. So pretty much any time of the day until it's too dark out, I have an area in my home where I can photograph and have good, just even natural light. So I photograph everything just on a piece of white foam core, and I do a little stylized design with the products that I've used and then put the card on top. And then I just take some pictures with my camera from a few different angles, edit them in Lightroom, and then I'm done.
Awesome. I like that. I buy my house based on windows.
I do.
I probably did the same thing, but never thought of it because I like
I
light as well.
totally buy my house based on windows and where the direction of the sun hits most often. And that's how I pick like where my main, like my space is typically. Like when you're a photographer, stuff like that matters.
Mhm. Absolutely. Light is so important, and also important for our health too, really.
Yeah.
As someone getting back into scrapbooking and card making after decades, all the new stuff is daunting and overwhelming. How would you recommend starting?
Whew. That's a good one. So I would, oh, that is a hard one. So I would find a good white cardstock, and I would honestly, I would probably do some research into companies' designs as well and find ones that really speak to you. Find products that are you would actually love to get and create something with, and look at that product and look at it and see, could I create at least 5 things with it? And if the answer to that is no, I would say don't pick it up. Pick up things that you really, really think you'll love. But also don't be afraid to dabble. So maybe I wouldn't say immediately jumping headfirst into hot foiling. Maybe grab a stamp set and a stencil set and the coordinating die. And then maybe like an essential die, so a background or something, and play with those until you're sick of it. And then maybe for your next purchase, do something, maybe find a different company, or within the same company, find something that's just a little different style. But I would say a good quality cardstock and some good quality inks are one of the probably the main things that you will be like a larger purchase that you'll want. And then adhesives, of course. There's a lot in this industry, but I say ease into it. Find things that you know that you will love, and just don't. There's no need to go overboard. There are tons of companies out there, but look at something and make sure that you would use it over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Tracy,
It's
would you add
very
anything?
easy. It is very easy to shop, and then never use.
Mhm.
So,
Tracy, do you would add anything as somebody who sells scrapbooking supplies?
yeah.
Of course, part of me would say, come on over and shop. But no, the other part though, too, I get it. Well, not everybody's made of money is what I say. And
Mhm.
what's the point of buying things that you're not going to use? So you've got the internet, right?
Yep.
So start watching a few videos and
Videos.
yeah,
are
and then
great.
just see like,
Yes.
okay, this is my style,
Yep.
right? So let's use Pinkfresh
Check out
as an example.
Instagram. Scroll through some people's Instagram feeds and be like,
Yeah.
oh, I like these.
Ex-
And they probably, if you like their style, they probably have a few companies that they use the most. And so those might be the companies that fit your style the best.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we get asked a lot. So because our product suites are typically large, you know, they can have 4 or 5 different things in them, and we get asked a lot, why don't you offer a bundle for everything? And for us, that makes it too easy for somebody to just buy it all, and that's not what we're about. We want everyone to purchase the things that really fit them best, that fit their style best. So maybe we have something that has a stamp, a hot foil plate, the stencils, and the dies, but maybe they're not into hot foiling, or maybe they really love foiling and rather not do the stamp, so they'll just get the hot foil plate.
Yeah.
And then maybe they would rather color it, so they skip the stencils this time, but they get the die so they can cut it out. So we try not to do bundles so that people can make a good conscious decision about what they're actually putting in their cart.
That makes sense. Do you get time to just craft, or is it mostly for work?
Mostly work. Here and there, I craft just for me.
And I think this is a great question too, is our statement, buy from your local scrapbooking store if you have one, because they're going out of business. One here in Ottawa is going out of business. So
Absolutely.
yeah, support the small business owner, because they really are trying. We had Nick Nooks on earlier. Tracy is a scrapbooking store here in Ottawa. We had Nick Nooks on from New Brunswick, and yeah, they're there to serve you, and look for your local one.
Not everyone has a local one. But if you do, definitely check them out. And don't be afraid if you have a local one and they don't carry a brand you like. All you can do is, just ask, and maybe they will be willing to carry it.
Very true. Because a couple years ago, I hadn't heard of, say, Pink Fresh. I really hadn't. And then, maybe they won't bring it in right away.
Yeah.
But then this is my logic. When I hear a question 3 times, I better act on it. Like, really, because that means, that's kind of my way of thinking, going, all right, maybe I should click in here. Maybe people are, this brand is starting to get out there, or this style, and whether I like it or not, I've got to, cater to these clients. They're asking me. So yeah, whoever you ask should listen.
Yeah, for sure.
Eventually, because I get it. It's still money, but it's, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
You can totally open their eyes by asking.
Yeah, maybe they'll find a brand that they haven't heard of, and it becomes one of their best sellers. You never know.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Do you guys go to local crops to play with friends? I know Tracy does.
I do occasionally. I am lucky enough here in Minneapolis. We actually have a really large, mostly card making community. So we have, I think we have 2 kind of big things that we do each year, where we get together for an entire day and just craft away together in a big. Typically, we have like a big banquet room from like a hotel or something that we rent out. So not really store based, but we do have a lot of card maker friends that we get together a couple times a year here.
Cool. And that's fun. That's a fun part of it.
We don't really have much in terms of stores like right here in the city. We have some outliers, but we actually, funny enough, as big as Minneapolis is, we don't have much inside of our city limits.
I think it's becoming a big city problem, right?
Yeah.
Part of me is thinking the cost. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Because I organize, just a lot of the events.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. When I organize the events, everybody says, why are they always out of town? Well, that is why, Yeah.
Makes sense. Somebody's saying their closest store is 2.5 hours away. So that's unfortunately our reality day. It's crafters. It's sometimes harder and harder.
I think mine is about an hour and a half away. So I totally get that.
Now, look for people like Tracy. She doesn't have a store, but she is a store.
There you go.
She has a storefront in her home, but not a storefront, but somebody like that, maybe in your own community as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to call them or to email them or something too, if they're like a home business. Because trust me, they will want to help you, or they should want to help you. Right?
Mm-hmm. And I know Tracy strives to find new products. So that's cool too, right? To learn and to find new products and stuff is always changing. So that's great too. Excellent. Well, any other questions about foiling, about Pink Fresh? There's a dragonfly coming to see us. I don't know. On my window, we have a dragonfly coming to say hi. Any other questions?
Right, that's an idea for Pink Fresh. A dragonfly stencil on that? I'm just saying.
We'll have to pass that along.
Dragonflies are very popular.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Keep going.
Dragonflies are popular. They're good luck, I believe. But thank you so much for joining us and for doing that. And remember to stop by. And I was just looking, and now I lost it. Lea has a free gift, and I'm going to go read what it is.
Oh, yeah. Let me chat about that really quickly, because I had a question. So I will be sending out a PDF, but my email system doesn't send out emails as people sign up. So I'm just kind of waiting to get the bulk of the people signed up, and then this weekend I will send out the free PDF in an email.
Okay.
You need to get on an email system that does it.
I just use the one that is free with my website. So.
There you go. Well, If you want to look, there's a really good free option that will do it for you.
Okay.
So if you're looking for that, just knock. I can send it to you. It's, there's
Okay.
a couple of free ones, but MailerLite would do it for you for free, up to a certain
I'll have
number.
to look at it.
And it's very, very easy to put up and integrate with your site. So,
Okay.
so that you don't have to wait. It just does it all magically.
Well, there we go.
So, I've asked a ton of questions. Thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Lea, for participating, and Lee. And we are really happy to have you here. And it's been such a great fun. And for anyone who is joining us tonight, we are doing our crop tonight in an hour and a half for our Aussie friends. What if I'm already on your list? Are they still going to get it?
You would have received if you're talking about the crop information.
Oh, no, I'm just talking about me.
Your list, sorry.
So, Jenna, I'll make a note to check it and to tag you for Scrapbooking Fun Summit.
Yeah. So you should be able to. That's great. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you everybody for joining all our lives today. It's been great getting to highlight our amazing experts, and really the conversations have been really cool. So thank you, Lee, and we appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. And we'll see you in the next
one.
Bye.
Have a good rest of your weekend.
Yes.